Hello again, this is Ben Hitchcock-Cross talking to you today for Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin. Here with Dr. Debbie Kuether, we are going to break a story for you today. And what's happened here, I think we're sort of creating news, that MPS is watching our channel here. And as a result, they have gone to management and told management to threaten their employees and tell them to keep their complaints internal. So we're going to talk about that, but first I just want to welcome our friends. I want to welcome our enemies, because we assume that if not Keith Posley directly, that senior management is watching our channel. We've got feedback on that, and we appreciate that. So, you know, if you guys want to leave a like, we'd appreciate that, Dr. Posley. Dr. Posley wants to leave a comment, we'd appreciate that, but I guess the next best thing is this kind of feedback here. You know, it is illegal and it's quite immoral and disgusting, but there it is. So again, what's happening here is MPS is using its employment power to threaten all of its employees with consequences if they file things, really to threaten them with their paycheck if they file complaints external to MPS. So there's two things I want to say about that just off the bat, and then we'll get into the reporting aspect of it. Number one, where is Bob Peterson? Why is this allowed to happen? What's going on? Where is this labor hero, and why is he not putting an end to this? This is outrageous, and it needs to have stopped yesterday. Okay? That's the first thing. Why is this allowed to continue? What is going on here? The second thing I want to say, workers need to have the right to be able to work together. Okay, and we've seen this in all sorts of forms, that when we here at Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin encourage workers to work together, and especially educators, that that core message is attacked. Okay, and I think that's clearly, this is another one of those instances. And we chose to appreciate that, and we're going to turn that on its head and say thank you for the feedback. You know, where I think that they lack the awareness to understand that when you put your thumb down on pressure to try to keep the pressure contained, it's just going to come out some other way. And so that's exactly what's happening here. This sort of immoral conduct is leading to more whistleblowing, just as we saw that it would. Remember, one comment generates two, right? Yeah. And so that's what's happening here. Is thank you, Dr. Posley, for your comments. We appreciate them. We wish they were. We appreciate you acknowledging the power of this channel. We wish that you could do that in a more productive way. Possibly something that was more pupil or employee friendly, but instead this is just more of the same. So with that all in mind here, let's talk about what's going on. So Debbie.
Yes, just so this past week I was contacted by 3 individuals, middle management and administration at Central Services, where they the different departments called together meetings where they basically told the staff that you are to keep all complaints internal. And they then tied that to the comment that MPS provides for your family through a paycheck, and you are here to provide for your family. So you should not be taking anything externally, keep it internal, and don't talk. So that was the message that came from directors, and senior level administration, senior directors, to the mid-level management at Central Services. It's their families.
So I know this is something that you know better than most.
Yeah.
But there's all of the people who reported this to you. Did they use the word paycheck? Was that?
They did. They said MPS is your paycheck. It's the way you provide for your family. So keep your concerns internal.
Okay, so we got paycheck, we got family, and concerns internal. Okay?
Yes.
I don't think you need to get. I mean, I think that those are all the key buzzwords that you would need That is what we call employment power.
Yes, and it was a message that they had been relayed to them, these senior level administrators, that they were told to relay to the next level.
Right. So, and do we know if that's going further? I mean, and then so on. How low is this going here?
You know, it is inside central services, so there's a trickle down effect that could go as far as, you know, teachers that are out in the schools. So I imagine it probably, you know, it was across many departments. So I think it's pretty wide reaching.
Okay. And I think, from my understanding here, we've got a few names that we believe are connected with giving out of these statements. So that's a Stewart. These are all, I believe, senior directors. There's Mr. Boswell, Hill, and Radomski.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm certain that there's more, but those are from the areas that we've been focusing on right now. So these people ought to be ashamed of themselves. But also we want to go harken back to a great theme of this channel, which is the perpetrator victim.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, you know, we do, to the extent that we understand that these people are the victims of, that they've been told the exact same thing. Okay? So it's going from, I'd say, Posley to a chief to a
A director.
And then director to a manager, and then, you know, like the Army. Okay? Corporation. So with that in mind, somebody here who is both being told, we have to assume that Mr. Stewart, Mr. Boswell, Hill, Radomski, all those people, if I missed your sex up, I apologize. That's not my intention. The point here is we assume these people have been threatened too.
That's usually how it works.
Right.
Yes.
So the threat rolls down the hill.
It rolls down the hill.
But we need to be careful, and we need to be clear that, again, to the extent that Mr. Boswell, for example, is a victim of this, he's also the perpetrator. And, you know, we've talked about this elsewhere, but I think these kind of perpetrators or victims are sort of held to a different standard than other sort of more ordinary victims, for lack of a better word, because they're also perpetrators.
That's right.
Here. And at least we'd expect them to have greater knowledge and everything else. I mean, they also have children, they have families, they need paychecks, they've, you know, got Nintendos that they have to buy as well.
Yeah.
I mean, all those things are perfectly fair and legitimate activities, and they have every right to be feel threatened by this illegal threat. There's no question about that. It's just that, and it's not surprising that they don't say no.
And that's what we've seen now, that the culture is so retaliatory that many of these people who have the positionality, they have the title. I mean, remember we compared this to Calvin Furman, who was a deputy superintendent. He's an attorney, and even he was not comfortable, and has said so in his deposition multiple times, that he could not go against what this board and what this superintendent have created in this environment. And so, yes, they are, but if those people can't do it, I mean, at some point, when you know it's wrong and you have positionality, you have the title, you have responsibility, you should be at least interjecting back to the person who's asking you to do that and questioning that logic, questioning, you know, you don't have to go forward and behave that way. There are other ways and other routes that you can take.
And though, let's compare them, the people who are under pressure, to somebody who's under no pressure at all and has all the power in this situation, and that's Bob Peterson, for example. There's another director who's also retiring. Who's that?
That is Shaquana Taylor.
Okay. Both of these people, for example, and everybody else on the board, A, ought to be ashamed of themselves. B, you're on notice that this is happening. And C, it needs to stop. Then moving on from those issues is Bob Peterson has every duty in the world to take care of and remedy this situation. And not only legally, but morally, and to prevent himself from being a hypocrite. And to watch him in those board meetings sit there in front of these labor posters, and then to have the very self-same organization that he is the president of go out and threaten people's and workers' paychecks if they try to hold try to end discrimination, if they try to use their legal rights that they have,
exercise their statutory rights.
then they are getting threatened with retaliation. So let's just be clear, ERD. Let's be clear, everybody else, City of Milwaukee, everybody else who is in a position to be judging this. This is retaliation. It's a statement that we are going to retaliate against you if you file a complaint. Okay? So that it needs to stop. It's illegal and it's morally reprehensible and disgusting. And you can sit there and you can talk about, say things in Spanish. You can say about the indigenous rights. You can talk about students all day long. But this is going on and you allow this to happen. All of those other performative things are meaningless nonsense and you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. I'm ashamed for you.
I am too. And he, like you said, he's written articles on the matter. He knows exactly what's going on. And yet he sits there and he provides cover for these behaviors. And now when it's bubbling up to a massive overflow, he's going to jump ship. And we're supposed to celebrate him, I guess. I don't know. For the work that he's done. But he
right.
is
Well,
failing.
Now's the time. Excuse me here, but now's the time. You should have, and you could have, and you were required to, and had the duty to do this before. But now you've got no possible reason, and the only thing that you're going to do by failing to do this is leave a legacy of a betrayal and hypocrisy, and nothing else. And all of your previous works will be dissolved and encapsulated into this one moment was when you had the actual power. It's easy to sit on the outside and complain, but now when you have the power to do this, now's the time to act. So get it done.